Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 6 of class, where we will be covering practice plans. So, practice plans are a very important part of coaching. Um, Basically, I'll just go through real quick, kind of like some things about practice plans, and then we'll get into what's going on for this week. There are some articles for you to read, and I'm going to break down the project at the end. So, I'm going to try to keep this kind of brief. So practice plans. Why do they matter? So one, it biggest reason I think is it helps teams and players improve efficiently. Because when you're practicing, sure you can just go do reps and reps and reps of playing the game, playing the game. You hop on ranked, you play, you keep playing the game. Yeah, obviously you're gonna get better at the game the more hashtag time in you put. Um, but it might not be efficient and you might not be looking at all of the areas that you need to improve in because if you're just tilt queuing for 5 hours in a row on Valorant, sure, you might get mechanically better at the game or know what's going on, but you're not going to effectively or efficiently get better, especially with a team. Practice plans avoid playing without purpose. So again, it gives you a reason to work on something or you're looking at something as you go through and play. It also builds teamwork, strategy, and consistency as a team. Obviously, practice plans are going to look very different depending on what um, game that you play. The practice planning for Super Smash Brothers is going to be very different because at the end of the day, it's just you and whoever you're going against um, in game in that minute, right? But in something like Valorant, you have multiple teammates and are looking at multiple other people on the opposing team that you have to worry about, keep track of. A lot of more things going on there. Or a game like Halo, where not only do you have you and three teammates and four opponents, but you also have things like time power weapons or different objectives and things like that, depending on all of the different game modes and stuff that you play in a Halo match. So that's just why practice plans matter. Here's some types of practice that you might see in esports. So mechanical practice. Um, this could be understanding the mechanics of your player or character in Smash. This could be something like aim training, um, understanding how and when to use abilities and ults and stuff like that in some games. Knowing how to use all of the different types of guns or things and modes and maps and stuff like that, right? Next is team practice. So this would be like something scrims. You're working as a team, playing as a team. We're looking at like other types of coordination, knowing different breakoffs, where to start, what you're going to do, who's covering what angles, stuff like that on the map. Another very important one is VOD review, learning from past games and mistakes. VOD review, I think, is probably the most important when it comes to esports practice because you're actually looking at the gameplay when you're not sitting there controlling the mouse and keyboard, right? So you're going through looking at it from hopefully an objective perspective where you're saying, hey, okay, I could have done this better in this situation. When I was in the situation, this is what I felt and what I thought. But now that I'm reviewing it from a different angle or at a different time, I'm able to see these other things that I was able to do. Another thing, theory, crafting, and strategy. So we talked a little bit about this with coaches, but this could be things like meta analysis, scouting report, potential playbooks for different like breakoffs or strategies or how to run a map or something like that in esports. Key components of a good practice plan. So this is something to keep in mind as you're doing your assignment. Clear goals. What are you working on today? Whether it be rotations, map control, comms, things like that. A structured schedule. So you're going to want to break down practice into focus blocks so that you know what you're doing at different times and can shift the focus if needed during a practice. Another thing is a balanced approach. So you want to avoid burnout, mix gameplay with review, other skill drills, and stuff like that. Another thing, accountability and reflection. So set your goals, track your progress, and then review so that you can reset your goals, continue to track your progress, and always review. That reviewing is very important, but adjusting after review is so important. So sure, you can just set a goal at the beginning of a semester for a college team, and never adjust your goals, and maybe you accomplished that one, but so many other things came up while you're going through practice that maybe you needed to work on too. So some common mistakes or something like that, and some solutions for them when it comes to practice planning is just playing instead of practicing. You see this a lot. You just have a team go Q ranked. Ensure you're playing again. You're getting that time in, but maybe you don't have clear objectives, and that's how like a solution to that. So if you do plan to just go Q ranked for your team, have some objectives with this. Hey, we're gonna make sure that you focus playing on this character or using this abilities, learning how to do this thing while we're playing ranked. Another thing, ignoring mental and physical health is something that can happen very easily when you're grinding in esports. Very easy to sit down in front of the computer, in front of the screen, and grind 4 or 5 hours, right? You can't ignore your mental health and your physical health. Take breaks, stay hydrated, get up, take a lap, do some jumping jacks, different things like that. Avoid that burnout. Another thing, not reviewing performance. Again, you just play, tilt Q into the next one, tilt Q into the next one. Oh, that was a great one. All right, let's Q again to do it again. You need to VOD review. Feedback sessions are key to make sure that you understand what you're doing good so that you can continue to put yourself in those situations, but also what you're doing bad or poor so that you can adjust, figure out what you need to do to go into those next few sessions or next games or things like that. Recap: good practice, structured, intentional, and balanced. So what we'll do is this is a practice plan that someone had put together last year that we'll go over. I also have some articles and stuff for you guys to read, so make sure you check those out. I'm not going to cover them too in depth. They're linked there for you to read. So this other thing, let's switch over here. So this is a practice plan that someone had put together last year in class. Um, so here you have and this is pretty similar to how I would want you guys to structure your assignment for the practice plan. I don't want you to go like super in depth for everything because that's going to be a part of the project that we talk about here in just a few minutes. But a clear breakdown of what's going on. So the example last year was create a practice plan for a collegiate Halo team. Okay, so knowing that they're college players, they immediately said, okay, on Sunday, break. Wednesday, break. Saturday, break. That way, you're able to maintain a balance. Again, this is a practice plan for imaginary college students. They need to be able to have that break and do something. So for Halo, it's broken into a couple different game modes that you may play. So this person chose to have specific practice days for those specific game modes with bringing it all together on Friday. So Monday, Slayer; Tuesday, CTF and Oddball; Thursday, Strongholds, King of the Hill; Friday, Scrim. So here for the game mode practice, so they're Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. You want to start with hand exercises, get warmed up. If you're sitting there playing for a couple hours, you need to make sure that you're doing the right things with your hands so that you don't have issues and stuff. One game of any game mode to just warm up and get the fingers moving, get the sticks moving for Halo. Also going to do some aim training. They brought this in here. 45 minutes of it to go through, work on your aim, do your different things. This is important here. So discuss strategies for the first game mode of the day. Play a game of that game mode. Watch the VOD of the game, discuss. So here we're seeing planning, doing, and reviewing. Play another of that game mode so you can focus on what you need to improve. Watch that VOD to determine if you have improved. Take a break and then repeat those steps for the second game mode, unless it happens to be Monday, where you're playing Slayer again, since it has the most maps in rotation for that Halo. So this is a good example. One thing that I would have liked to see here is a breakdown of timing for the different blocks. So you see it in a couple spots for the 45 minutes aim training and 30-minute break. How long do you think you're going to spend for those VOD sessions or for playing those games is something that could be important to add to. So for the scrim, we see something a little bit different. Hand exercises, warm-up game, aim training. Watch the VOD of the opponent to help create a game plan for when you scrim them. play the game or play the full scrim. So now you have like one map of each game mode, full set, break, quad, and then maybe do another one, or whatever your practice ends up being. So this is a pretty good example. When you guys make yours, don't just copy this one-to-one. Please put some thought into your own practice plan. I'm giving this to show you guys how something should be formatted, not as something to copy as you go through. So for yours, you are going to answer as if you're the coach of a collegiate Valorant team. If you don't know a lot about Valorant, um, there's not there can be a lot that goes into it. Just some minor research should be all that you need to be able to make a practice plan. And if you have any specific questions, please reach out to me and I'll help you kind of get through and go through that. But you'll need to create an actual schedule and plan. Suggest using a table to keep it organized, and upload the final document as a PDF. This one is an upload format, not the discussion. That way you can format the right way for the practice plan. And that example is linked right there for you if you have any questions. So that's pretty much it for practice plans. Next thing I want to do is go ahead and talk about the second organization project. So I am still in the process of grading those first org projects. Overall, I've seen some good things. Have seen some things that need improved. Again, this is a big portion of your grade. So one thing I am going to offer for just the first organization project is a chance to do revisions. So I'm going to give you back your projects, let you guys go through, correct things, and on these revisions, you can get up to half credit back. So say you got a 50% on the org project, you turn it in, you do all your corrections the right way, put some more thought into them. I'll give you up to 25% back on that. So you could get 75 total. So what that'll do for those revisions is if you submit it, I'll just update your grade for that first org project based on how you do those revisions and stuff like that. I'm going to make it its own posting for it so you guys can see. And I'm going to have it due at the same time that org project 2 is due. So that if you have that extra time, you want to put in that extra time to do the revisions, you can. But now let's look at project 2. This one's going to be due on April 6th. So that's after spring break, but you have a full week after spring break of classes to be reminded of to do this. And because part of what we're covering, we haven't, part of what this project is, we haven't even covered yet. I believe that's going to be next week. So wanted to just introduce this to you guys in plenty of time. So that one, if there's any like travel conflicting dates for any sports teams or things like that that you're a part of, you can plan ahead. That way you can get it done before you go, because there's plenty of time to do it. And this project isn't necessarily as in-depth or research heavy as the last one. So this is something that's totally doable in the time frame that we have for you. So we'll go over this a couple times, but just short introduction for this org project 2, our practice and wellness planning. For this assignment, you'll need to answer these questions as if you're the manager of a professional esports team. You may use a team that already exists or use a team that maybe you made from the previous project if you want to kind of keep that through line for these. Expectations. This should not just be one page long. A good assignment will have several pages and go in depth to each part of the plans. Do not generalize. These should be specific. If you use any resources, they must be properly cited and uploaded as a PDF. The PDF thing just makes it easy for me to see the same format that you saved it as, because I'm opening this up either on a large ultra wide monitor, a laptop, iPad, who knows. I see it in the format that you intended. That's why PDF. First, create an in-depth practice plan for your professional team. You notice for this week 6, you're making a practice plan. That's practice for you to be able to make this. So this practice plan should not look exactly like the one that you submit for this week's assignment. It should go more in depth. So keep in mind the fundamentals that you'll need to be worked on, what types of strategies there are for the game of your choosing, what types of practices will you have. Remember, playing the game professionally is a full-time job of the players that you're designing it for. So it's not something like a college team where you have to account for class time, stuff like that. You're making a practice plan for a professional team. To be a step further, in the practice plan that you did for the discussions, give me reasons for the type of practice. And that's just not like a one sentence reasoning. Go in depth for me. And the practice plan should cover for at least 2 weeks. Um, don't do the easy cop out for week 2. Just do the same thing as week 1. You're not going to get points for that if that happens. Really put some thought into it, and make a good practice plan, basically. Next is a wellness plan. Not going to go too in depth on this one because we're going to cover wellness planning next week. But a couple different parts to it. Use your week 7 assignment as your outline, tailor to your specific team. You want to go in depth again to each part, how it contributes to the overall wellness of your players. How do you keep your players invested in the wellness plan? And then structure it almost as if it's a 5th grade essay with your intro, body, and conclusions, with how you'll keep them invested and stuff. I'll have an example of this org project to show you guys. And other than that, I think that's really all I have for class this week. Sorry for the later upload on the video. Daylight savings time sucks. But that's all I have. Thank you guys, and hope you have a good week.